जब तक है संसार अमर है राम भरत का प्यार, अमर है राम भरत का प्यार। सुना भरत ने हुआ राम को जैसे ही वनवास, दौड़े दौड़े पहुँच गए वो वन में राम के पास। राम के बदले न था भरत को राजपाट स्वीकार, अमर है राम भरत का प्यार, अमर है राम भरत का प्यार। राम ने समझाया जब उनको, तुम ही करो अब राज।
Omkar, can we start?
Yes, sir.
Om Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanam Bhunattu Sahaveryam Karvavahe Tejas Vinapatitamastu Mavit Vishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So does anybody have anything to ask?
Jai Gurudev, sir, I have got a doubt, sir. Last time when you were giving one analogy, sir, data, like the vasanas are like the data in the computer, and when there is power supply, the data will run. So whether all the vasanas in the mind or in the intellect, everything is a kind of data, and that runs with the support of that electricity or whatever. So my doubt was, sir, what is in the data which will dissolve the data? Because I understand man is equal to God plus vasanas. So what is in the vasanas that enables vasana to get dissolved? What is in the data that erases the data?
No, you're putting too many things in one analogy. Okay.
Sir.
We have to go a little slow.
Sir.
What we said is that we are only expression. What we know of our personality is we know that we have got thoughts, we know that we have emotions, and we know that we have a body. That's this much we know.
Sir.
Where these thoughts, emotions go when we go into deep sleep, we don't know. Where these thoughts and emotions go when body dies, we don't know. It's a mystery. So vasana per se is a mystery. Vasana is not known. It's an inferential proposition. when you start thinking of something, you want to come to the class. So I want to come to the class. That thought comes. From where that thought comes is actually speaking mystic. But that desire, that thought comes up, and you deal with it. Once it is done, you go away from the class. It's gone. So that desire of thought dissolves till the next one comes up. So where is this thought which is dissolved? Where is it stored? We don't know. So at different points in time, different aspects of your person, different desires keep coming up from some mysterious void. They express while you're there, and then when you're done with the desire, it disappears. Where does it disappear? We don't know. The fact of the matter is, we know for a fact that the same desire keeps coming up again and again and disappears again and again. So therefore, we hold an intelligent inference that unless they don't really evaporate or disappear, they go into a mysterious memory bank. Unless they go into that mysterious memory bank, the same desire, same thought cannot come up. So that storehouse of your memory across so many stimuli that you have, that large storehouse of your memory, from which your known personality comes up. The known personality is your mind and intellect and your body. So that mysterious storehouse from which that known personality comes up is called Vasana. Vasana is a mystery. Your intellect comes out of your Vasana. So who is asking this question? Jai.
Sir.
Who is
sir.
asking? Jai. Jai is asking the question. Yeah.
Sir.
So by now you know that each one of us is a self-made programmer, whether you know programming or not. Because as you think, so you become. So your reinforcement of thought encrypts your program. It encrypts you as your personality. I see on my screen a gentleman called Nasim. So whatever he encrypts is his personality. There's another gentleman called Mahesh. Whatever he encrypts is his personality. So Mahesh is nothing but his own coding, unique to him. You have coded yourself with your thoughts and emotions. He has coded. I have coded myself with my thoughts and emotions. So I am just an expression of my coding. You follow? So that coding that I have is the fountainhead of my personality. You get it? So where does this code go? It doesn't go. So wherever that code resides in its unmanifest form is called Vasana. You follow? But you become aware of vasanas only when you become aware of thought and emotion. So when that thought and emotion is done and dusted, where does it go? That's why it's called your vasanas, called your causal body. It is the cause of your personality. You follow? Who has caused that personality? Who has caused that personality?
Causal body.
No. Causal body, my dear, is the cause of your personality. The content of the causal body is a storehouse of coding, no? The causal body is your code. Your operating code is your causal body. Vasana, that's your operating code. This is your nature, no? Your swabhav is your operating code, is it not? Whether you like or not. She operates according to that coding. You're operating according to your coding. Your daughter-in-law operates according to her coding. There's a vasana. So we say each person is helpless victim of his vasana. The vasana is your coding. Who has coded? I'm asking. Jai, you can appreciate
Sir,
Huh?
I am
You answer my
responsible for
question.
my coding. Sir.
So
I am
when you
responsible for my.
say, slow down. When you say you're responsible for your coding, what it means is that when you are conscious, just now you're conscious, no? You're conscious of yourself. So when you're conscious of yourself and the world, that consciousness, your contact with the world resulted in some thoughts coming up. So you reinforce some thoughts and you did other things with other thoughts. So what you dismiss, you are not. What you reinforce, you become. That is your coding. Your coding is the reinforcement of thought. Are you with me?
Correct, sir.
In that reinforcement of thought, your mind gets involved in that reinforcement. When mind gets involved in the reinforcement, as you receive the stimuli, you polarize the reaction of your mind, you polarize into two buckets, into two folders. One folder is what? As you reinforce your thinking, you polarize your mind into two folders. One folder is what? I am talking language of computer. Huh? So one folder is what? One folder is I like it. Second folder is what? Put your mic on, man. Jai. Switch on your mic, Jai. You're asking the question. Second
Sir,
folder
sorry,
is what?
sir. Likes and dislikes, no, sir?
No, don't say likes and dislikes. It is likes and dislikes, but when you're receiving all these stimuli, it's going into two folders. The rest of the class is listening also. So it's going into two folders. I like it, I dislike it, and in between folder is I'm confused. So whatever it is, there's reaction. You follow? So when the folder that goes into your like, what you do with your mind? You revel in it again and again. You understand? Because you revel in it again and again, you get attached to what you like. The folder that in your mind you have decided to put into dislike. Since in dislike position, what you do with your mind?
I stay away.
No,
I
don't
move
want
away
it.
from.
No, you don't want it. You don't like it. You cannot stay away. That is the problem. You understand? You may not like somebody's behavior. You cannot stay away from that person. You follow? But the fact of the matter is, you develop negative bias toward what you dislike. So that negative bias to what you dislike generates aversion. Since you have reinforced it, you become now hostage victim of attachment and aversion. Likes and dislikes, this is how it functions. So you have coded yourself powerfully by the influence of likes and dislikes. So now you are hostage to likes and dislikes. So your vasanas express themselves as your personality. Your personality is nothing but a bundle of likes and dislikes, which dictate what you want to do, what you don't want to do. And that makes a mess of your life. You have not, what this classroom does is to infuse your thinking, your intellect. So when your intellect comes into play, you discriminate. Okay, just because I like it, should I do it? Just because I dislike, do I avoid it? What do I do? So you moderate these likes and dislikes according to the goal that you have. So your intellect channelizes these likes and dislikes. Now your personality is coded by a combination of mind and intellect, but the intellect has to be empowered. When the intellect is empowered, your mind will follow the direction of the intellect. If the mind is empowered and the intellect is not empowered, you know what is the right thing to do, but you can't do it. Your intellect, your likes and dislikes will throw it out. You follow? So all this complex programming, including its relative strength, at any given time remains intact with you. It disappears when you go to sleep, but as soon as you wake up, that coding takes place again. You follow? So that mysterious storehouse into which it disappears and from which it reappears. Because the same fellow who goes to sleep, same fellow wakes up. Same hang-ups you go to sleep with, same hang-ups you wake up with. You understand? But when you're asleep, when the mind is somewhere else, where is it? So that is in your Vasana bank. So Vasana is a necessary assumption that's based on inference. Your intellect comes from the Vasana. You can't understand what Vasanas are. But without the proposition that there has to be Vasana, you can't understand where your personality comes from. Are you with me, sir? So this is the equation. So your vasanas are called your causal body because they are the cause of your personality. But the cause of that personality is your conscious thinking. Your conscious thinking subsides into subconscious and then subsides into unconscious, which is your vasana. Now you are hostess to that program kicking in when stimuli triggered. So you don't mix up. You don't mix up. What we were discussing last time is that your thoughts themselves, your creature of thought and emotion, your thoughts themselves per se are inert, without life. And what animates the thought is the self in you. There is only one animating principle, and that animating principle is the self in you. Without the self in you, your thoughts remain dormant, without life. That is the point we were discussing last time. So that animating, so you are conscious of your thoughts and you are conscious of your feelings. The consciousness principle is the self in you. That is eternal, that is constant. What you are aware of is only data. Thought per se is data. But empowered by the self in you, they come and haunt you. Or they come and benefit you. You follow? So the example that we gave is of your phone, where in the phone is vast memory bank. That memory bank is only data, but who has punched it? You punched it. You follow? Having punched it, it resides in your memory bank. As and when required, you punch some buttons and you bring that memory on the screen, so it becomes alive on the screen. So what makes it alive is actually the battery or the power. Without the power, that memory cannot be brought into play. Are you with me? So there is no memory in the source that brings it into play, which is the battery, which is the electricity. And there is no empowering element in the data per se. The empowering element and the data have to combine for expression. Okay. Now, when you are done and dusted with what you want on the screen, what happens to the data? It's again stored somewhere, no? It's again stored somewhere. Are you with me? Now your phone goes bust. What will happen? You're not concerned if the phone goes bust. Why are you not concerned if the phone goes bust? I mean, you don't like the phone to go bust, but assuming it breaks, it goes bust, what will happen? You're not concerned. Why?
Because it's in the cloud. The data is stored in the cloud.
And because all you have to do is get another phone and punch your ID and the data will come back. You understand? That cloud in which, the cloud is a mystery, no? The cloud in which your data is stored is Vasana. Why you have to understand this? Why you have to understand this? It's a powerful comparison.
Because when you take on the new body, when you change your clothes, you have to down.
Correct.
Living from there
So
on.
your phone in this context is like a cross body. You understand? Just because it is gone, the data that you stored in it not gone, because it is not. It is locked into the cloud. The cloud is a mystery. We don't know what it is. You follow? So it's in your Vasana bank. So when the next body comes in, that data enters. So how do you get the data back in the next phone? How do you get the data in the next phone? You punch in your ID, no? You punch in whatever your ID is, so whatever the ID is, according to ID, the data will come back. You understand? So what happens when you die? Your body is gone. Data has disappeared. Data has not disappeared. Your desire bank is intact. But there is no mind and intellect at this point of time. So whole thing is gone into causal body. You follow? Then you may not be aware, but when your next set of parents want a child, you understand, your ID gets punched in, whatever your ID is. So when your ID gets punched in, what is the progeny that will come? I'm asking. When your ID is punched in, what is the personality that will come? Why are you not answering?
Your old vasanas will get downloaded. That's why it'll come into yourself.
Your personality will come, no, sir. That is what I'm trying to say. So therefore, there is a latency effect. Latency effect means it is not 5G, 4G, 3G. Once you die, your personality is punched in. So latency effect kicks in. So you first bring your personality as a child, then as a youth, then whatever it is, by the time you're 25, you understand, your carryover program kicks in again, and whatever you left is what you come with. What you go as, you come with. Just like when you go to sleep, what you sleep as, you wake up as. You don't wake up as somebody else. But while you're asleep, you're in coma. So when you're in coma, where is your personality? The personality is not evaporating. You understand? As soon as you wake up, that causal body kicks in as your subtle body, mind and intellect, and then connects to your gross body. So your personality kicks in. The issues you go to sleep with are the issues you'll wake up with. Who goes to sleep is the same person that wakes up. Are you with me? The karmas you go with are the karmas you will have to come with. This is the continuity of life. This is a very powerful. This is a very powerful comparison to understand the insight into the pain and mystery of birth and death. You have to understand.
So one small doubt, sir.
Yes.
So it's not related to the flow of thought that you're talking about,
Yeah.
but slightly away, but in line with what you're saying. When you die, the data has gone into the cloud. But there is another data which is already there called the Sanchit Vasanas, and which is trying to fructify and trying to come up on the top.
My dear, how much is the data of your phone, and what fraction of the data is on your screen at any given time?
Very small.
That's what I'm saying. So your total thought bank is very vast. That is your Sanchita Vasana. That means totality. You understand? It is very vast.
Correct, sir. Correct.
Of that totality, one subset that requires immediate expression comes into play. You understand?
Correct, sir. Correct.
So
sir.
just like on this phone, you got thousands of things over there. No, but on my phone, I got only one program just now. This class. So this class is what is coming into play on my screen. It's coming into play on your screen. The rest, that means the entertainment and the music and the movies and everything that I've got is dead. It's lying somewhere. So your vasana is a compound of how many desires you have. You don't know. Thousands of desires you have. No? So of those thousands of desires, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 desires come into play at any given time. Other fellows rebel don't.
Correct.
So too, but the fact that why are you here just now?
Because they were on the top for fructification.
Sorry?
Because I had my vasanas that wanted to be satisfied, the subset that you're talking about, sir. That
So
wanted to
therefore,
come.
this desire for knowledge is just now active, no?
Right, sir.
So because this desire for knowledge is active, your body has come here and the instrument with which you're listening is there and everything else is there. So this
Correct,
desire
sir.
is active. So this one desire to come here, how many other desires you have?
Many.
Many desires. So therefore, those are dormant at this point of time. You understand? Within
Right.
1 hour from here, whether you like or not, this is switched off. So you cannot, no longer can handle this desire. This environment is switched off, not available. So your next desire will kick in. When you whatever your next desire kicks in, that is the environment you go to. So
Sir,
at
I'm
any
not
given
referring,
time-
sir, 1 minute. I'm not referring to this life. When you change your life, you change your clothes. What is there in the iCloud that you download codification wise, what is on the top? So it's a combination of that subset in the total vasanas called Sanchit that you download.
Beta, in order to understand that, what I'm trying to tell you, that just now, consciously you're moving from environment to environment according to the conscious movement of your desire.
Correct.
You're conscious that you have this desire, that's why you come here. And other
Right,
things you
sir.
kept on the back burner. When this is over, this desire is over, or this environment cannot fulfill the desire because you switch off. Even if you want to continue, the thing is switched off. So you can't continue with this. So therefore, another desire will come and you'll go somewhere else too.
Right.
You follow? So
Right.
similarly, at the subconscious level, at some point in time, there is a urge for expression. That urge for expression is the what you call as prarabdha vasana, what requires immediate expression. If it requires expression, it requires embodiment and it requires environment. Otherwise, you cannot express. So your prarabdha vasana generate your birth. Having generated birth, you will have to pass through those stages of childhood, youth, etc., before your personality will come into fruition. So whatever your physical body is will crystallize into is already programmed when you are 6 months old. How your physical body will shape up, you follow. Is already, but you can't see it in that when you are 6 months old. So similarly, your emotional personality is already there, but there is a latency effect. So it takes time for your carry forward emotions to crystallize into what is naturally you. And your intellect kicks in at the latency effect for intellect to kick in. Latency effect is 7-8 years. When intellect gets born, child's curiosity gets born. And then whatever you are or not, by the time you're 25, your brought forward personality is crystallized. In the meantime, influences are there, so those will modify.
Right. Thank you, sir.
What you go as is what you come. This is what it is. You follow. So at any given time, your vasana bank is very large, very small. So therefore you are what your shraddha is, not what your vasanas are. Shraddha is where do you want to put your focus, and what is it? Which subset of your desire bank do you want to pay attention to and see it through to its natural conclusion? So in this classroom is a classroom which activates your curiosity and your reasoning with logical insight. Is what it does. So as you start thinking clearly and clearly, your intellect becomes sharper and sharper. But you have to do it every day. By doing it every day, you're maintaining shraddha, means you're maintaining consistency. Once you maintain that consistency, you will start becoming a rational person from becoming an emotional person. The past programming is that you're emotional. Fresh programming is that you will become rational, discriminating. That is the purpose of this class. You get it? So we should not mix up comparisons. Use the comparison where it is appropriately available. Okay. Yes, anybody else got anything else?
So
Sir,
there's a question in the chat.
Sorry?
There's a question in the chat by Mukesh.
Oh.
Would you read it out, Mukesh?
You have to unplug Mukesh, you're muted. Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, can't hear. Somebody can tell me the question.
Morning, Adiji. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
hi, good morning.
As one progresses on the spiritual path towards enlightenment, one is to get rid of or reduce one's vasanas. How does this stored vasanas get overridden?
No, your vasanas express as desire, no?
Right.
From your vasanas come thought. These thoughts crystallize into desire. Are you with me? Desire is what comes on our radar. Desire we know. So we have to get rid of desire. Vasana is another word for unmanifest desire. Mukesh bhai,
Yes.
at this point of time, you have desire, no? But desire doesn't remain 24/7 active. No?
Right.
Hundreds of desires, they don't remain active 24/7, is it not? So when they're not active, they remain unmanifest. Are you with me? So when they're unmanifest, where do they go?
Do they go in the memory bank?
Which is called, it's an inference that because they become manifest, same desire become manifest again. The inference is that they're not disappearing somewhere. So the inference is that they go into some mysterious memory bank. That memory bank is called vasana. So you can't tackle vasana direct. You tackle vasana through its expression, which is when it becomes thought. When it becomes thought, you're aware that if this thought has come to me, it has not come from mid-air, it has come from within me. So what within me is your vasana. You follow. It's a mystery. So these thoughts, once they crystallize into desire, you can examine them. So you eliminate desire. Best way of eliminating desire is through knowledge alone.
Sorry, can you just repeat the
1
last?
minute, 1 minute. I'm just trying to give an example how to eliminate desire with knowledge alone. You follow. So people today are well traveled. Children are well traveled, no? Mukesh bhai.
Yeah.
Supposing people have decided that I am buying this house for my one child here and this house for my other child there. In actual point of time, when the child is mature, do they want to come and stay in the house? Fellow has settled down in America. You made a house for him in Pune. Is he interested in coming and settling here? I'm asking.
No.
So therefore, when you observe this and some thought comes that I will make house for him here, house for him there, and your children are children of this world, you dissolve that by saying this is madness. They are not going to come over here. So therefore, I kick this thing out. I don't have this plan of action. So you can dissolve desire through knowledge alone. Are you with me? So
Yes.
people, you have aspiration, which because of your limitation, you might not be able to fulfill. You may have limitation of resource, you may have limitation of talent, you may have limitation of opportunity. So some aspirations you have, you're not been able to fulfill. Is it not?
Yes.
Other fellows have been able to fulfill whatever they want to do. Somebody else has fulfilled it, no?
Yeah.
That fellow is better off than you are. At the end of the day, he has fulfilled it. I'm asking.
I don't think so.
You don't think so, correct? You don't think so. So therefore, if that I may not achieve, but that fellow has pursued this, he's successful in reaching it, but at the end of the day, he still feels hollow, then something is wrong. Then if you understand that, say, I don't want to take this path. For the sake of believing that if I reach it, I'll become happy. This is not going to get me anywhere. That's what Swamiji did. Swamiji was born into wealth, no? And he was born in a cultured society. He is born in a sweet spot in life. He is not born somewhere in the village. You follow? So he has access to everything. But so he went to the correct people with the correct value system. He didn't go to some speculator, gambler, etc. He honorable people, honorable value system. He quietly asked, inquired, they've achieved, they've ticked all the boxes they want to tick, but at the end of the day, where are they? They are nowhere. There is no satisfaction. There is no satisfaction. And then when you are studying the scriptures, he learned that satisfaction is not there, it is within you. So he understood that I cannot go through the same thing and come to the same conclusion. So I have to look at things in a more introverted manner. You follow? So that is why he took up study of life and living in a more serious manner. So he discarded all his desires through knowledge alone. And certain things are left which are too powerful. Because they are too powerful, you require a combination of knowledge and experience. Otherwise, you can't get rid. That is why you have to get married. The reason you are getting married is that there are certain desires which you cannot discard with knowledge of. It will not work. The desire is too powerful. You will not be able to get frustrated. And of those desires, the sexual urge is very powerful. It may be very gross. That's a separate issue. But the fact of the matter is that our carry forward desire is too powerful. We can't get rid of it through knowledge alone. So therefore, you have to channelize it through the medium of marriage. But then you use that medium of marriage to increase your value system and to be devoted to. You become custodian of your children and you devote it to your partner. That your desire is the opposite person's burden. So if your desire is the opposite person's burden, it is your duty to lighten the burden. This encompasses the opposite person of your need, because you are a burden of the opposite person. And the opposite person, your job is to ensure that he or she does not need you anymore because you have empowered her. Then the institution of marriage becomes sacred. But the fact of the matter is that you have a strong desire, you have to channelize it through the medium of experience. So, best way of getting rid of desire is through knowledge alone. You don't have to go through experience. But you're carrying legacy of powerful desire. You're carrying legacy of powerful desire, then you have to manage experience along with insight. When you manage experience along with insight, the Gita tells us that all contact-born enjoyments are wombs of sorrow because they have beginning and end. Therefore, what do the wise do? What do the wise do? All contact-born enjoyments are wombs of sorrow because they have beginning and end. What you want is infinite happiness, no. So you're not going to get it. The self in you is full, doesn't want for anything. So it's always in a state of contentment. You want to capture that contentment again because that's your natural state. You can't capture it in this world because they're all wombs of sorrow. Because at some point of time, disappointment sets in. If disappointment sets in, you would say, what next? What is the age of Mr. Ratan Tata? I don't know. Somewhere in the 80s, no? Mr. Ratan Tata. So
87.
Person, is he not?
87. 87.
87. He's an honorable person, is he not? He's a role model for many of us. Correct value system. You ask him in his heart of heart, now this chapter is over, what next? He'll say, I have done this, what next? So what of it? What next? There's always that lingering thought. So what of it? What next? It cannot give you satisfaction. It should not. So the knowledge is that even as you go through life, you understand from the beginning, it is not going to give you the satisfaction that you want. So therefore, when you go through it, look at it dispassionately, don't revel in it. If you revel in it, you build up desire. Instead of reveling in it, you dispense with desire. Because your thought is what is complete without any lacuna, which does not require any additional input, is the self in you. That is complete. It is now unnecessarily limited because you put desire in front of you. Because you put desire in front of you, now this world is being projected. The world itself is a piece of imagination. So you have to dispense with your desire. That's what you are doing, what you are studying, the 4 yoga. They dispense with desire. So when you have knowledge, you understand the way to dispense with desire without getting frustrated is to plug your action to obligation. If you are a father, you have obligation to your partner and your children. You discharge that obligation as it should be discharged, not how you want it. So when you discharge that obligation as it should be discharged, and don't think about what's going to come out of it, what is going to happen. As you discharge each obligation, from your vasana comes thought, from thought comes desire. That desiring plug into obligation. Okay, I have a role to play. Unless I have desire to talk, I cannot talk. So now I'm talking because the desire is backing it. But as I'm talking, the desire is backing it, I must understand what is the purpose of this. The purpose of this is, since I have to talk means I have to talk logically and to explain something. This is the natural courtesy that is owed to the fact that you want to come and listen. You want to come and listen. My job is to offer insight. Shut up and get out. Beginning and end. You follow? So if I do this, what is going to happen to my desire? What is going to happen to my spillover desire?
You fulfilled it, and that's it, end of it.
So having fulfilled it, that fraction of desire is gone.
Yes.
Correct. There may be 10,000 units of desire. If I fulfill it logically just now, so that fraction of desire has gone, has it not? Having fulfilled it, I shut up. I don't think about what's going to happen next. So when I don't think about what is going to happen next, I leave it alone, because that's the beginning and end of the obligation is to discharge this desire faithfully and stop. Your only duty in life is to do your duty and stop. You follow? So if I do it and don't linger in it, what will happen? What will happen to the desire?
Reduce over
Will I
time.
generate fresh desire? If I do my job and I stop end desire with desire, I don't think about it anymore, what will happen to the desire? Will I add more desire? I'm not thinking about the fruit. Will I add more desire? I'm asking you, by the way. I won't know. So
No.
therefore, I am dissenting with my legacy desire and not creating further desire. I'm not maintaining feedback loop. From your vasanas comes desire. You indulge in the desire and generate further desire. So feedback loop is going in circles, no?
Yeah.
Your past desire generated present obligation. Having generated present obligation, there is something you need to do to repay, to discharge that obligation that you have. You can't walk away from it. You understand? So what is it that I need to do? How much it is that I need to do? To what extent I need to do it? I do it and shut up and get out. Beginning, end of my thinking. I don't revel in it. You understand? These things happen, great things don't happen. I keep maintain my consistency. What will happen to my desire then?
Just subside. Basically go.
It will go.
They will
So this is what it is.
return.
So this is so the purpose of bhakti and the purpose of Gnana is Gnana is knowledge and bhakti is devotion, because you don't have enough knowledge. So you have to piggyback on knowledge of somebody else who has got it. So having faith in somebody else's knowledge to make up for the lacuna in what you have now, you combine that and you channelize that into action. When you channelize it into action, this is karma yoga. Anything that you do depends on the quality of knowledge that backs it. You have sufficient knowledge to do what you have to do. If you want to improve the quality of knowledge, you have to piggyback on somebody else's knowledge. Combination of that requires faith. Your knowledge, his conviction. So with conviction and faith, you channelize into dispensing with desire, because the self in you is outside of desire, outside of vice and virtue. This is who I am. This is where I have to go. If I have to go there, I have to knock off this barrier I have created for myself with stupidity. You knock this barrier off. You'll get there. This is what you are studying. You cannot walk away from desire, neither can you walk away from obligation. You have created a debt, you have to repay the debt. You can't walk away from obligation. So you marry action to obligation. Do what you have to do where it needs to be done, whether you like it or not. Having done that, beginning, end of your jurisdiction, let it pass. So there is no sense of doership and there is no sense of entitlement. When there is no doership and no entitlement, but commitment to the job, you do the best possible thing you can do, and you are disencumbered from this hang up that you created for yourself, the bondage of desire. Liberation is outgrowing desire. Sensible living is managing desire. Liberation is when you outgrow desire. You liberated from the demand of the desire. Now you are king. That is why the measure of wisdom is self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency means if the thing is there, it is fine. If it is not there, no big deal. You don't become despondent. It is not there. You don't get too excited if it is there. Because you have been liberated from the desire that was holding you hostage. When you are dependent, what you need should be there for you to feel comfortable. If it is not there, you collapse. That's why Swamiji writes in the beginning, what is spirituality? Not your how much you know, what you don't know. How self-sufficient are you? You can access the best in the world. If it is there, it is fine. If it is not there, it's no big deal. So you don't become vulnerable to fear and favor. Somebody else cannot blackmail you into doing something and not doing something. You understand? Today you are vulnerable to emotional blackmail. Children says this, children does that, they'll cry, they can, no. You understand? So you become vulnerable to emotional blackmail. And you're emotionally blackmailing somebody else for which you are paying price. You're self-sufficient. You don't want other people to conform to your views, nor are you imposing your views on somebody else. You're not custodian of anybody else's conscience, and you're not the standard by which somebody else will live. You live according to your conviction. Be true to yourself. Do what you have to do. Then the world has got nothing to offer. Do what you have to do. Get out. This is knowledge. You're asking how to calibrate it. What you're studying is the method of eliminating desire. As you grow into higher echelons of wisdom, the lower, more immature parts of you will disappear. That's how you do it. The actual way of doing it is to plug action to obligation. That is what you are studying. That is what Karma Yoga is all about. You move from selfish desire, what's in it for me. From that you move into unselfish desire. How may I help you? That will make you happy. The secret of happiness is working for the happiness of others. That is the secret of happiness. When Vivekananda looked at life, he says, I want to get to life because I want joy, which everybody wants. But he says, when I study life, I understand that life is service. And now I understand it's service which is joy. It is service which is joy. You understand? So, moment you approach what you have to do in a spirit of service, and there is no agenda behind it, that spirit of service keeps you comfortable, keeps you joyful. But there's limitation to it. There's limitation to it. Because the self is outside of vice and virtue. So the more difficult part of wisdom is when you are enjoying life at its best, you have to say no to it. Because if you revel in the joy of spiritual living, you generate punya, means you generate virtue. So once you generate virtue, you generate good desire. Good desire means you will be born again to fulfill those desires. It's stupidity. Self is outside of vice and virtue.
Yes, sir.
You put that you put that slide 13.
Yes, sir. In a minute.
Quintessence of Vedanta. I'm giving you a snapshot on the screen. Okay, you can see this on the screen. Quintessence of Vedanta. This is what the whole thing, Gnana Yoga is bringing it to this focus. So, wisdom has got two sides to it. What is the truth is on the right. How does the pure consciousness, how does the self in you look at it? And how do you as an individual look at it? There are two sides to the story. So the left-hand side is from limitation, how we look at it. So from limitation, when you look at it, you see yourself as a combination of spirit and matter. And God, which is the self, to you and me, superficially, it makes sense to believe that he has created the world which now produces beings. That's how it appears. And the other fact is that he is the master ordainer controller of this causation. So the laws of causation are infallible. So you and I have to follow the rules of engagement if we want to have a safe journey in life. If we violate the rules of engagement, then these violations come back and haunt us. The consequence is in the choice. You choose what you want to eat and what you want to speak. The consequences of that irrational eating and speaking will come back and haunt you. So the law of causation is infallible. So this is what we understand here. But when we look at it from standpoint of the self, when the self-realized masters speak to us, they give a different insight. That different insight is that from beginning to end, there is only the spirit. Look on the right. The self alone is, the spirit in you is that which is alone there. That is only reality. There is no other reality. And ignorance of the self in you has produced your mind, which now projects this world. So you require the interface of the mind for the world to come into play. And your mind has come into play because you're ignorant of your own fullness. When you become ignorant of your fullness, you become aware of emptiness. When you become aware of emptiness, you become aware of that you are void inside. So that void inside is your desire. I want to fill this up. So that void inside requires supply. That supply is the world that is projected. So when you get something from the world that fills this void, you're happy. The void itself is imaginary. So ignorance of the self produces the mind, which then projects the world. And the self in you is actually outside of causation. So you have to liberate yourself from your own stupidity. You require the interface of the mind for the world to be projected. Without the mind, there is no world. So you have to get rid of that mind. How do you do that? This is your approach to life. So your approach to life should be that your actions should be backed by selfless service. No motive at all. Just do what you have to do according to how it should be done, when it should be done, and leave it alone. Selfless service. Unconditional surrender. Let thine be done, not mine. The scriptures give us a guidance of what should be done, what should not be done. You surrender your ego to it and follow it. Your jurisdiction does not lie in the result. Leave the result alone. My jurisdiction ends with a logical presentation of these facts. My obligation is to present them as lucidly and logically as I can. This is the beginning end of my jurisdiction. After that, I leave it alone. Whether you accept, don't accept is your prerogative. I have no right to say that you must listen, not listen. Leave it alone. When Krishna advised Arjuna 100 questions, he asked 100 questions, he answered. But after answering all those questions, he says, I have done my best to explain this situation to you as best as I can. It is now for you to take it or leave it and take it forward or modify it. I am out. Leave it alone. Krishna himself surrenders to the laws of living. He doesn't impose himself. Leave it alone. This is unconditional surrender. When you function like this, the world becomes better and better and better. Your life becomes better and better and better. As better it becomes, you have to say, no, not this, no, not this, no, not this. Thank you, but no thank you. Thank you, but no thank you means what? When you are going somewhere and you are staying a couple of nights somewhere, that host is very gracious with you. You are very gracious with them. He says, why don't you stay a little longer? But you have to get somewhere else. What you tell her? Thank you, but no thank you. Are you with me? So however good life becomes, you have to call the bluff. Thank you, but no thank you. So that is neti, neti, neti. Negation. So what are you negating? What are you negating? I'm asking. Whatever it is that this world brings, why are you negating it? Because you're asserting only one thing. What are you asserting? That I am the self. So the assertion of the self is act of faith. The negation of this world is act of conviction. You combine the two things, you liberate yourself. You break Maya, the delusion that there is a world. This is the encapsulation. This encapsulation. This is a quintessence of Vedanta. So the Swamiji has written everything only to come to that one point, that you have to break Maya. And Gnana Yoga is the fast track method of understanding this. So some of these, the mystery of the self, we have to unfold in some of these slides, which we will do next time. Okay. I think our time is up.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We are